welcome back. It's time now for Media Watch France. I'll look through the latest about what the papers and the websites have been saying about what's going on here in France. For that, I'm joined by Nick Rushworth. Good evening to you, Nick.
Hi, Catherine.
Now, obviously, the presidential race approaching fast. The first round of voting takes place on Sunday. What's the latest the press are making of that?
Well, in France, they talk about the buzz each day, don't they? The media buzz. And what's happening today is that one woman who is called Corinne Lepage, she is a former environment minister under the right wing in the mid-90s. Now, she's since gone to centre ground to Modem for a period and launched her own campaign to be a president. I can just go to her website there. You can see that she's Corinne Lepage there. She didn't manage to get the 500 signatures you need to run for office. So what she's done, she's gone along today to Le Monde to say, well, yes, I'm from the right, and I'm not a socialist, but what am I going to recommend to all voters, even before the two, usually between the two rounds, there's recommendations. Here you can see in Le Monde, she's saying, well, vote for François Hollande. So that is, of course, a blow to Nicolas Sarkozy because, you know, clearly a former right-wing environment minister. And in that interview there with Le Monde, she's saying, well, listen, Sarkozy's record on environmental issues have not been up to scratch. So she's going at him there. And that's obviously a kind of former right-wing, not an ally as such, but someone in the right who's got credibility with French voters is saying firmly, vote for Hollande.
OK, so a blow perhaps to Nicolas Sarkozy there, and it doesn't end there. Even more embarrassingly himself, Jacques Chirac himself, former president, and some of his past aides, they say they're going to back François Hollande.
Well, Jacques Chirac, that story is in this paper, Le Parisien, Aujourd'hui en France. I can show you there. There's a little pie chart showing the Chirac clan there. And the headline, Le clan Chirac penche pour Hollande. They're leaning towards Hollande. Now, we knew last June that Chirac was going to say, well, I'm going to vote for Hollande. That made lots of waves and lots of buzz at the time.
Sure if he was joking or perhaps not sure even of what he was saying, were they, at the time?
Well, this one-page piece in Le Parisien today is saying, well, yes, he is. He's not speaking, of course, because he's ill, and also that would be unwise for him to do so, but his family are basically clearly coming out in favour of Hollande. There you can just see in that picture there a graphic of Bernadette Chirac, the wife of Jacques, and she is firmly for Sarkozy, but one of Jacques Chirac's daughters, Claude Chirac, has apparently been along and had lunch with Valérie Trierweiler, who's a journalist for AFP, a former journalist for AFP, who's actually the partner of François Hollande, and they have excellent relations. So that whole page is all about this coziness between this part of the Chirac clan and François Hollande.
Well, at least Nicolas Sarkozy can take comfort in the fact that Bernadette Chirac is still on his side. Now moving on to another candidate, the Front National's Marine Le Pen, far-right party, of course. She's been lashing out at perhaps the sometimes cosy relationship between France's politicians and the media, hasn't she?
Well, this is actually in the blog for a radio station, Europe 1, called Le Lab. The blog is called Le Lab. And here you can see Marine Le Pen in an interview with Radio Sud lashed out about this whole relationship, what she argues is a close relationship between certain journalists in France and the political elite, pointing fingers. And we can listen to what Marine Le Pen has had to say about this.
There's a problem I am really determined to point out and condemn. It's that there's a conflict of interest by a certain number of journalists in this campaign. It's a scandal that the French are not aware of the relations a certain number of journalists have with big business, and some journalists are even related to, are members of the family, of people close to a certain presidential candidate.
So, of course, we're hearing there about Claude Chirac going off for lunch with Valérie Trierweiler, who's the partner of François Hollande. And in this case, Marine Le Pen is pointing to one person in particular, a presenter on Canal+, a private station here in France, Cory Leroux. And this person apparently is a partner of Nicolas Sarkozy's former cabinet chief of staff. So
perhaps accusations of a
very,
cosy relationship. That's something we've seen coming out through this campaign, is the politicians really attacking journalists and their elite world. Okay, very quickly, we were pretty close to this vote, but the crunch moment for the French after they have voted is 8 p.m. Sunday evening. Everyone then will be glued to their TV sets.
Well, it's kind of election folklore, isn't it? In France, on a Sunday evening, May, every 5-7 years, traditionally, they're all glued, and it's totally banned. You can't have results before that 100 hours deadline. We can see Nouvel Observateur is reporting on this. What's happening is that now, with Facebook and Twitter, the results could come out, and so there's actually a team monitoring to make sure that social network sites do not release this, and also TV stations abroad. So there's a bit of a tussle between Belgium and with Switzerland as well, so that they don't overstep this 100 hours deadline.
OK, well, we'll be watching that. Of course, we'll be covering that here on France 24. Thanks very much, Nicholas Rushworth. Well, it's time for the very latest from cyberspace now. It's Web News.